Good night, everyone. Tonight, God is good and God is good all the time. My name is Herman J. Spirits Around. We give you a word on tonight. And we still doing Bible study. We're still in David. Now, you know, yesterday, David's son, he made himself a king. And he made sure he invite Solomon, either Nathan, but he know Nathan was gonna try to stop it because Nathan already knows Solomon is the one that's next, and that's what Nathan did. He stopped. So David makes Solomon king. First King, chapter 1, verse 28 through 53. So now David know what's going on with his son, making himself king, but now David is about to make it clear, who is really king. So King David had said, call Bathsheba, that's his wife, that she came into the king presence, she bowed down, so now King David had took an oath. He took an oath because, Bathsheba came in and said, I thought you had sworn that Solomon was going to be the king. So now he making an oath, as surely as the Lord live, who had delivered me out of all my trouble. I will surely carry out his very day, what I swear, to you by the Lord, the God of Israel. Now he making an oath. Now Solomon, your son, should be the king after me. And he will sit on the throne in my place. So now he had, he making this public. So they having a festival and everything else out there. So the brother wants to do all this here behind everyone back. But David doing this here in public. He making it clear. I'm making an oath that Solomon is going to be the king. Solomon is going to sit on that throne after me. So now David's the king, and he made an oath, making it clear that Solomon would be the king in his place and sit on the throne. Now Bathsheba had bowed down with her face down to the ground, because she was scared too. Because just like Nathan had told her, you have to do this here. Because she was afraid if cause that's not her son. David got about three wives. She said if he be the king, no telling if he gonna treat her and Sodom like criminals. So she was scared for her life, for her and her son. So she had bowed down, made a Lord King of David live forever. So now, the King David had called Zodar, the priest, he a priest, and Nathan, the prophet, and other priests he had called. So David had said to his priests, to take Solomon, on his own mule, and take him into that river. So everybody gonna meet him over there. So David about to make this here clear. Now remember, David said Solomon will ride on his mule. So we might expect King David to send a great war hearse to bring his son Solomon to the ceremony. But instead, Solomon had rode David mule, and David time the mule was a prize, animals, written by wealthy and powerful people. Now you might think, so he about to make Solomon king, take that move. But see, back then, when you ride that, that was pretty much wealthy and rich people ride that. So now he's telling them to take this here, help Solomon to ride on here and roll onto this river right here. So that means Solomon, he a king, he gonna be wealthy and everything else. Not but the wealthy and rich people ride that thing. So when Jesus had entered Jerusalem, he came in not on a hearse, but on a donkey. So riding a mule and a donkey, that mean a whole lot back then. That mean you important. You mean you a king. You wealthy. So and most people in these days they'll ride hearse. They say a hearse is better than a donkey. But back in those days, if you riding a donkey, that means you a king. That means you wealthy. That's how it was back then. So they have, so this priest here and Nathan, the prophet, anoint him king over Israel. So anoint him king over Israel, and this is good news. So they blow the trumpet, and shout. You know, remember they by this river, you know, having their little festival. They're gonna be shouting and making all this kind of noise. And see, the other son, he ain't never pop up yet. You know, so David had a priest. He had Nathan to announce Solomon king, and now he is to come and sit on the throne and run in my place. You know, so David had to do this shit because if David would have just rest, you know, and he would have laid to rest, you know, the other son would have been in charge. Who knows how it would have been. Now, just like the wife said, you know, she don't know how he was gonna treat her and her son, you know. So David had anointed him ruler over Israel and Judah. So as the Lord was with my Lord, you know, the king, so make he be with Solomon. Now he's saying God was with him the whole time. You know, God had anointed him since he was a child. And God will follow him all the way until he got in his position. So he's saying God had delivered me from all my trouble. He said God was with me, so let God be with you. You know, so to make him his throne even greater than the throne of my Lord King David. Now you know God had made David's name great. You know, because see, long as David was under Saul, you know, and Saul wanted him to do this and that, and David kept saying, well, my name not great yet. You know, but God made his name great. You know, so time he got in position, they already knew who David was. You know, so he thought his name wasn't great. You know, God made his name great. So now here we go. David's son, Adonijah, you know, make himself king. You know, and now David heard, you know, these things, you know, but David did not talk to his son. See, David never chastised his children. You know, every time, you know, they do wrong, he don't never discuss it. He don't never have a conversation with them at all. Now, he didn't have no conversation with his son. All he, all he did was made Solomon the king and not talk to the other son. Or what you think you doing? Why is you making yourself king? He did not have that kind of conversation with his son. And when his other sons had did wrong, he didn't have no conversation with them. He don't chastise his children. All he did was, I'm gonna make this clear: Solomon is the king. You know. So now his son Adonijah has showed up. Now he showed up. You know, hearing the sound of trumpet. Remember, they making noise. That's the festival, having fun. You know, shouting, and you know, because they made Solomon the king. You know, so now he done showed up. So now this is the second time we hearing of Jonathan's son. You know, remember Jonathan's son. You know, remember David had given him everything what belongs to his grandfather Saul. You know, and now he wealthy. He is a king and everything. Everybody bow down to him now. You know, so now this is the second time we hear of Jonathan's son speaking, and he arrived. So Jonathan said, come in. You know, he said, a worthy man like you must be bringing good news. And see, they call him worthy. Remember at one time he thought he wasn't worthy? When David said, you're going to be sitting at the table with kings, you know, with me every day, he thought he wasn't worthy. You know, but now, you know, he worthy. You know, they're bowing down to him now. You know, so now they think of Jonathan's son as a worthy man when he thought at one time he wasn't. So now David's son is telling Jonathan's son everything that what had happened, you know, that they made Solomon's son the king, you know, and made him sit on the throne. You know, because did not come out the way. See, he had a plan of doing this shit before his daddy, you know, let to rest. You know, but then Nathan came along. So now Adonijah had now he's scared. He's scared that Solomon is a king now. Now he don't know how Solomon gonna treat him. He thinks Solomon gonna kill him. So he have fear. He have fear. And Solomon was told that he is afraid of him, you know, and now Adonijah wants to make an oath. He wants Solomon to swear to him that you was not kill me. You know, so now he you know, he wants to swear that he is scared and he is afraid. He's afraid for his life. You know, so he did not, you know, first of all, he did not seek God for guidance before he acted. You know, and then, you know, then he learned that his plan had fell apart. It was doomed. It failed. So he ran and panicked to the altar, and his plan was explosive. Because that's why he didn't want Nathan to be there. He knew Nathan was gonna stop it and shut it down, but he still stopped it and shut it down. He went straight to Bathsheba to tell her to go to David, because David didn't know none of this shit was going on. Now, because David, made Solomon king in public. Now, see, the son, he wants to do everything behind David back, behind Solomon back. Now, he ain't invite them to his festival, but David wants to make everything clear, and David did it in public in front of the Israelite and everything. So the son had considered God. He did not consider God first, what God wanted. He might have a lot of trouble right now. Now, because his plan had fell apart. He was supposed to seek God, but he wanted to do things his way. He figured his father is getting old. He ain't gonna know no better about the later rest. So he making his own plan. Now Solomon had replied, so remember the son had said, "Swear to me that you will not kill me." So now Solomon replied, "If he show himself to be worthy, and not a hair of his head will fall to the ground. But if, always gonna be an if, but if evil is found in him, he will die." So he thought by having Solomon swear not to kill him, but if he have evil is found against David, he will die. Now he thought it was gonna be just that simple, because they have brothers. They're brothers. And David had and Solomon swore that I'm not gonna kill you, but then they had an if behind it. If. So the Ajante, he thought he was safe, under this oath. But by doing this, he hoped, to place himself under God's protection. Because he know God is with David. He know God is with Solomon. Now if he would have sought God, he won't be in this predicament that he in now. But he came and he bowed down to Solomon. He bowed down to Solomon, all that he did. And Solomon said, go home. So Solomon had nothing else to say to him. You done made yourself king behind my back. Okay, you said what you had to say. Thank you, and you can go home. You can be dismissed. So now, while DeSante had fear for his life, and he expected the punishment. Now, he thought Solomon was about to give him a punishment. He bowed down to Solomon. Solomon did not give him no punishment. Solomon told him, you go home. You can be dismissed. So he was waiting for a punishment when Solomon did not give him none. So Solomon didn't want to hear anything else but simply dismiss him. Dismiss his brother and send him home. So as a new king, Solomon had the power to kill. But he chose not to kill his brother. So now Solomon just got in position. Just was made king. But his demonstrating his authority and power. He just got in position, and he first had demonstrate, his authority and power. He did it the way it was supposed to be done, in a proper manner. He heard what Ajante had to say. Then he said, okay, you could be dismissed and you can go home. Now that was his authority and power. His first time in seat. And had to take and had to use his power right then and there. So then he went behind David back, and he did not seek God. He made himself king, and David made Solomon king in public. So when he heard that Solomon, was king, then he realized that his plan had failed, and he began to fear David. So a lot of times, people act big and bad and when they're in power. So now he not in power. So now he fear for his life. So now he bowing down, to Solomon. Because he don't know what Solomon gonna do next. So he tried to do things in evenness because his father is old, and he thought he can carry on and make himself king before his father died. So God's name, wasn't mentioned. God's name wasn't mentioned, but God, prophet Nathan, arrived there to stop it. Because if Nathan wouldn't have got there and instruct, Bathsheba what to do, he would have continued on being a king, and David would have laid to rest, and everything would have been in chaos. So he had to put things in place the way with the way God had wanted it to be in place. Now he got there just in time. He got there just in time to stop it, and God always right on time. Always right on time. Because God can sees everything. He can see everything. Now he see the move that the son was doing. So he's on his prophet over there, Nathan. He probably sent his prophet over there, Nathan, to stop it. And then by him, a good prophet, right under God, he knew exactly what to do to stop this process. And so it was stopped before David had laid to rest and put in a proper position, that Solomon is the king and will sit on the throne after David. So I advise anyone, how things is these days. If David and Nathan wouldn't have came along to stop the process, David would have laid to rest, and the wrong person would have been in position. So y'all have, if you feel like you're getting old, you feel like you're sick, I advise everyone to start getting your will together. So the children won't be fighting among themselves. Because we may not have a prophet like Nathan around, to stop things. So we have to get things because the children gonna fight. Look how the brothers was. He hurried up trying to make himself a king before his daddy, passed away. Before his daddy passed away. But it still didn't work because God sent a prophet Nathan. Nathan got there just in time to stop it. So that's all the word I have for you today. And a lot of time, just because your children ground, David's children always do wrong, but David never, he never chastised his children. He never had a conversation with Johnson, and he made himself king and did all this stuff, and David still never had a conversation with his son. He did all this planning behind David's back. But when David wanted to make things clear and let everyone know who gonna be the king and who gonna sit on that throne after him, he did it in public, right in front of the Israelite, because that's who Solomon gonna be king over the Israelite. And so whatever you do, he did stuff. He said he did sneaky stuff behind David and Solomon back, but it all backfired on him. So that's all the word I have for you on today. Y'all have a blessed and safe night, and I'll see y'all on the next video.